All right, I do believe we're live here. My name is Jamie J. I am a shareholder at Bottleneck Distant Assistance, along with being the founder and CEO. And this is Live with Bottleneck, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business, your life, by sharing the points and views of amazing people with incredible insight into the world of business and into the world of just having a better life. And couldn't be happy enough to introduce you here pretty soon to Alicia Ramsdell. We're going to be talking, having a good conversation here. Be sure to chime in if you have any questions or comments, whether you're watching on YouTube, Facebook, or LinkedIn. Chime in, ask away. If you're watching this in a replay, let me know down in the comments any questions, and I'll make sure to get all of those inquiries off to Alicia, and she'll be able to answer your questions right there. So let's go ahead and get this thing started. We'll get kicked off here, and you'll meet Alicia in about 38 seconds. Well, hello there. My name is Jamie J. I'm the CEO and founder and shareholder of Bottleneck Distant Assistance. This is Live with Bottleneck, where we help stop the bottleneck in your business and your life. Today is Tuesday, September 21st, 2021. And this is live. However, you're watching this in a replay, feel free to continue commenting, asking questions, and I'll get all of that information off to Alicia. Again, if you didn't see right before the intro, if you have any questions, and feel free, I would invite you to come in, comment, make suggestions live. I'd love to be able to share any questions that you have with Alicia. I understand it's a little intimidating sometimes, so if there's no questions or comments, I really hope you enjoy our conversation today. So today I am going to be talking with Alicia Ramsdell. She's the founder and CEO of the Mindful Career Path. And we're going to be talking about your business biggest success comes from an internal source. Well, we're going to have to wonder what that means here. We'll jump in just a second to that. And why, oh, why can Alicia help you stop the bottleneck in your business? Well, let me tell you. Alicia is the founder and CEO of Mindful Career Path, elevating an institution's client's professional brand through intentional organization or career development plans. She launched Mindful Career Path just as she began to unite her professional passion and energy with her career in a sincere way. It was at this alignment that Mindful Career Path set its vision and thrived, guiding clients to develop their institution or career stories in a mindfully enthusiastic approach. Coinciding with her own daily meditation practice, she brings a unique holistic approach to career coaching. Alicia has led successful client engagement with hundreds of institutions, including one of the top 5 pharmaceutical companies in the world, and individuals, professionals, and students. Prior to launching Mindful Career Path, Alicia gained instrumental career development experience as a 15-year corporate industry professional. She co-led undergraduate students in their internships experience, participated in the hiring process of employees, and successfully completed business training courses, including interviewing skills and business writing, employment law, and effective management skills. While bringing her desire to work, she pioneered a career development program for young professionals. So without any further ado, please allow me to welcome you to meet Alicia. How are you doing?
Good, Jamie. Thanks for having me.
Oh my gosh, I am so excited. It's not too often that I actually talk to people that are going to be on Live with Bottleneck before we talk, but I'm glad we did because I got to learn a little bit about you, and it was a really nice conversation. I hope that it kind of makes you a little bit more comfortable about today. And I thought before we kind of jump into this and continue with our dialogue, maybe you can tell us a little bit about who you are, where you've been, and what you're up to now.
Sure, I'd love to. So as you mentioned, my name's Alicia, and I'm the founder and CEO of Mindful Career Path. And I started my career where I had a knowledge, but I lacked a passion, right? I'm an experienced accountant, tax accountant in corporate America for over 15 years. And I got to do a lot of work in the accounting space, but where I really thrived was when I got to work with college interns. In addition, I was also teaching as an adjunct professor at local universities. So 15 years in, I decided to pivot and take where I had a passion and then allow me to drive that into my purpose, which was creating mindful career paths. And now post 2020, we're hearing a lot about what's the new norm going to look like? Well, that's exactly what I'm hoping to be a part of, rethinking this new norm. So what I do is I work with individuals and organizations with my intention is that the career progression is going to lead to career fulfillment for each individual. And then as far as an organization is concerned, hopefully that increases employee retention and ideally, for for-profit businesses, profitability.
Well, boy, I think you have a little bit of a road ahead of you, but it's nice to get on, the front end of that. Yeah,
Sure.
Things have definitely changed a little bit,
Yeah.
with everything that's gone on. And I was in corporate America for about 12 years, so not quite as long as you. But after that first year, I didn't really feel like I fit in. So it took me about 11 years to figure out what the heck I was going to do. And then it took me another 11 years to figure out whatever else was working out and stuff. So it took me a while for that transition. I'm slower than most, but I did ultimately find my passion. How did you know what you were transitioning into was something that you were passionate about?
Yeah, so just quickly touching base on what you just mentioned, I think career development is much like social media. You're only going to hear and see pictures or the perfect pictures and not the 15 outtakes that came before those perfect pictures, right? So career development takes time, and the end game of securing that ideal role, it's a process. So we can't let these filtered pictures of career success fool us. And then getting to your second point, how did I really get to know that I was going in the right direction from the career development space? I think when I would come home from my corporate America job, I found after some self-reflection that I wasn't talking about the tax or the accounting work that I was doing. What I talked about most was the time I spent with college interns and really helping them with a career development path. And it really wasn't a part of my responsibilities at work. It was something I chose to do. And I feel as though that I resonated based on the feedback I was getting from these college interns. And again, in addition to that work, as well as teaching at the higher education level, that's where my message was resonating best. And I realized it was at that point that I really needed to start hone in on where can I take that passion where I was thriving and make the most impact to society as best I could.
What was that message that was resonating? You said that message. I have a pretty good idea of what that was, but what was that message that you think was resonating with people that you were most passionate about?
I think because I lived the experience of going into a role that, hey, I'm good at this in school, right? For me, it was I'm good at math in school. So I must go into business, or I must go into numbers. I must go into finance or accounting. And it sounded like this is job security. This makes the most sense, right? And I was able to pivot into something I was passionate about based on my self-reflection. So when I spoke with people that were 19, 20 years old with, in college, and they had a lot of that pressure of, okay, what do you want to be for the rest of your life? What's the job that you're going to get when you graduate? Right? And nowadays with social media, everybody knows when somebody gets a new job. It's posted on social media. Everybody knows about it. So there's a little sting if you haven't got that job yet, right? That perfect job. So I think my message of it's okay not to know what you're going to do for the rest of your life. Let's look just 1 year ahead. Let's plan 1 year ahead, because 5, 10 years from now, the world can change with all the technological advances that happen so quickly. Look what COVID did to our world. And I felt like it was overnight, even though it wasn't, but it quickly changed everything. So I think my message that resonated was, it's okay not to have all the answers. Let's take a practical approach, step by step, and see where have you been successful in the past, align that with some natural aptitudes assessments, and then let's create your ideal future going forward.
There was a couple, I can't even tell you how many businesses I've had that have failed. I mean, trying to figure things out. And in the very beginning, someone would ask me if I could do something, and I'm like, yes. And then I'd go Google, what is this? You're just trying to figure it out. I think if I could go back, I would have, you got to start somewhere. You got to try and figure stuff out. And then what I found was, I did certain things and I'm like, that was all right, but I probably didn't, or I did really kind of enjoy that. But then as time went on, my interest kind of changed a little bit, and I started seeing things from different vantage points with more experience that I had, and I really started going, you know what, I'm kind of over this. Like, I don't care if I ever build another website again. Like, don't get me wrong. It's a really fun helping people out and, seeing them realize, what their thoughts were turned into a vision and all that kind of thing was nice. But the actual process of going in and building the website just wasn't me. So after doing that for about 7 or 8 years, I transitioned into something else that I was still passionate about. But I wonder if my question here is, I'm super passionate about what it is that I do right now, super passionate, but I'm still finding myself doing some of the things that I'm not too passionate about, but that's a small percentage of things versus, what I focus my time on mostly. And I always think to myself, okay, I'm getting through this. I know I don't like doing it. Unfortunately, I don't like accounting. I don't like numbers. Like, I'm scared to death of that stuff, but I'll go through it and I'll talk with our CFO and I'll talk with our, our attorney or accountant or whatever that is, because I know I'm going to be rewarded because I get to do what I, like talking with you. I love this stuff. Like, I geek out on it, and I'll go through and I'll do a little bit of the stuff that I don't really care about because I'm going to get rewarded ultimately. And I wonder if you can talk to passion a little bit, because I think with what you're doing right now, passion has a ton to do with choosing where it is and what you want to do with your life.
Yeah. So I listen to Jay Shetty's podcast. It's called On Purpose. And he always says, your passion is for you and your purpose is for others, right? So you can have a passion, but then going out into the universe and saying, this is the problem that I want to solve. And how are you going to use your passion to help others, for the greater good, right? So from your original point of view, when you talked about going to your manager or your boss and saying, I'll explain everything, even though I didn't really enjoy this small percentage of what I do, I do it because it's a part of the job. And now we're all going to have to do small percentages of our job that we might not necessarily love. But as long as the bigger picture, the majority of the percentage is in things that you love and projects that you enjoy, I think you're on the right track. And then as far as when you're speaking with your manager, I always ask clients to say, when you're doing one-on-ones, you can tell them about your priorities and what you're doing day to day. But when they talk about, okay, so what's next? You can say, I'm really loving these types of projects. I want to get more heavily involved in this or that. So when managers or peers or whatever are saying, okay, who could we get to help lead this project? Or who could we help do this to be successful for our organization? They're going to think of you, because what's happening is you're clearly articulating where you thrive, rather than just saying, hey, I'm checking all the boxes and doing everything I'm told. It's more focusing on, this is where I'm going to make, hey, I'm Jamie, and this is where I'm going to add the most value, right? I'm getting so much out of this, and I think I see the organization vision and the work I'm doing in this space aligning.
I gotcha. So at what point is someone, where are they in their life, work, professional? I don't believe in work-life balance, by the way. I just believe in the life balance. It's a big deal for me. I don't know why, but I think words matter. And when you start hearing that work-life balance, it just drives me crazy hearing that, because if you're at work or you're going out on a date with your bride or doing whatever, that's your life, right? So it's a life balance. You have to find that. But where is someone in their life at when you'll probably be most helpful to them?
That's a great question. So when I first started, I had to, because I had never run my own business before, I read a lot, right? I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs, startup owners, etc. And one thing everybody mentioned across the board was you have to have a target market. So I kind of did what I was told, right? I thought, who do I resonate best with, and what do I want my target market to be? And I started out with college students and college students alone. And then as I started my business, I started to get referrals, through my LinkedIn network once they heard what I was doing career coaching with people outside of that target market, right? And outside of that target market, we were people, let's call it 15 years into their career or 10 years away from retirement, but they were making a career transition. And what I realized was that I was equally as successful with somebody at that stage in their career, at that age, as I was with somebody as young as a college student. And when I was most successful was when I was working with motivated individuals. From a career coach, you would like the client to do most of the talking, and then you can kind of guide them into that realization, whatever it is they want for their future. But if they lack the motivation, career coaches can talk until they're blue in the face. It's not going to help going forward. So when people come to me, and where I'm going to work most successfully to help them in their vision is when they're motivated to make that change. So whether you're a college student looking for your first role, or whether you're looking to transition into a different industry, or maybe get promoted into that, executive level role, I will be successful with you if you bring your motivation with you. And my business is really twofold. I do work with individuals, but then I also work with employers. So I work within organizations to have one-on-one career coaching sessions. People can be completely vulnerable about what it is they're talking to me about regarding their role, regarding their career progression in that organization. And again, that's at different levels. I work with early career talent rotational programs. I work with people that are, again, 10 years from retirement. But again, it's really when people are most motivated to either progress in their company or to change completely or start out in a new role from college graduation.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. It's a huge difference working with somebody that really wants to be there versus someone that's just like, okay, I was forced to do this. Let's do this. And, it's like takes all the energy out. So
yes.
I can empathize with you wanting to work with those people. And you know what? You did a really good job, because oftentimes what happens is when people are scaling their business and they start figuring stuff out, oh, it works here and it works here. And it's really important to kind of, in the beginning, niche down really tight on what you've said. You brought up that target market.
Yes.
As soon as you think you have it niche down again, like get really tight on that. And then as time goes, you can start expanding out because you've established a foundation, and it's much easier to kind of zig and zag with a foundation that's been established rather than trying to do everything for everybody.
Exactly. That's a really great point, because then your bandwidth is it's not there, right? To be successful with the people that you're working with.
Yeah. What are some of the biggest challenges the people, when you're talking with them, what are some of the biggest challenges they're experiencing that may be holding them back?
I would probably say two things that hold people back the most. Number one, what is everyone else going to think, right? And I think that's just a natural thing about human beings, is that we wonder and care what everybody else is going to think. For me, I struggled a little bit with it of how can I tell the world that I'm leaving accounting, which was, such a secure job, such a secure industry, and going into something where I'm running my own business that who knows if it's going to be successful, right? They say most businesses fail within the first 5 years. So it's getting over the thought of what is everyone else going to think. So I think that's one piece where people struggle. The other step is really, what are the practical applications? I mean, there's a lot on LinkedIn about, all right, you want to change your job and you have to change your mindset and you have to do this. And sometimes there's ambiguity in all of it, right? So I think finding specific resources or practical application in the exercises that they're completing to get to that next level. And I guess to add one more thing, really three things, is people are struggling with time management, right? I am a parent, I have kids, they're in school, I have a full-time job, and how do I get from point A to point B with everything else going on in my life? and that all of those things are real to that specific person. So it's just navigating those waters when I'm working with them.
Fantastic. So you pretty much take each individual, I guess you could say a project, because it could be working with one person or a group of people within an organization, but
Sure.
you take each one on one at a time and you do kind of one off with them.
Exactly. Yep. So for the individuals, I work with typically just individuals. In an organization, I can run workshops, which is more of a group session, or I can work with one individual, or if, let's say, individuals are doing a job share, I can work with two individuals. It really just depends on the needs of that individual or the organization at that time.
So when you say your biggest success is an internal source, what are you talking about there?
Sure. So if you think about it, when people think about, hey, I need to get a job or I want a new job, what's the first thing we do? We typically go to Indeed, or we'll go to LinkedIn, look at the jobs tab and see what's out there. The thing is, we are all unique individuals. So when we try to get, whatever it is, like 200 plus applicants for one role, and it's just, that's what's going to happen. But if you think about it, all 200 of those individuals that are applying for a role, we're all unique, right? So if we go and look at a job description, it's like trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. So instead of starting with, I need a job, let me go look at all these job descriptions and I'll try to make myself fit into that role. What I like to do is I like to take a step back and I say, all right, instead of us looking at these job descriptions, why don't we figure out what the ideal job description is for you, right? And then this process is more about, if you have an idea of a title that you want to be going forward, let's call it a marketing manager. You go out, you find a number of job descriptions that have the title marketing manager. You look through the responsibilities. If in those bullet points and those responsibilities, you love what you see, take that and put it on a Word document. If you don't like one of the bullet points, leave it alone. So at the end of this exercise, let's call it, you've looked at 15 job descriptions with the same title. You have a list of about 15 to 20 bullet points of things you'd be excited to wake up every single day and do, right? So now you have this ideal job description created. So now when you're going into, let's call it networking conversations or talking with family or just talking with people that you know, and they say, so Jamie, what is it that you want going forward? I know you're looking to change jobs, but what specifically are you looking for? You have this document that says, and you can talk about it too, but you could say, hey, here, this is exactly what I'm looking for. If I could do this job, I would wake up a happy man every single day. Right. And then even when you're going into conversations, just informational, but if you're going into conversations with certain target companies, you could say, hey, this is a role that I would really love to do every day. Do you see this role adding value in your organization? Or do you see this role open? Or is there somebody that does this in your organization that I could talk to? At least that way you're being clear. And the clearer you are about what you want, because it's coming from an internal source and not something external that you found online that says, oh, this is exactly me, they're going to better be able to serve you throughout your career fulfillment search.
That's really important, because it kind of almost aligns with something of an aspirational adventure, meaning that I'm a big fan of understanding what your vision is, what you aspire to do, and then what are the daily objectives to achieve that vision, mission. And we can have our own personal vision and mission, and I think everybody should, as a matter of fact. And that's a whole mindset thing that comes into play. Creating something out of nothing is incredible. You can be so focused on what it is that you want to do and how you want to get there that you can almost create your own journey, so to speak, and that aligns you up. Because what I've also found is many times when people are kind of putting their feelers out there and trying to see, hey, where can I fit in, this is culture, right? And if you can find a company or an organization that shares similar core values or belief systems, and you can say, I could get on board with that vision, I could get on board with the mission, that's something I believe in, now all of a sudden you're kind of moving into something that's more or less like you. And one of the biggest things we do here in our organization, and I think works really well in other organizations that do that, is we have everybody that comes here, they create their own job role and responsibilities, just like you were saying.
Right.
After
so you're ahead of the curve.
Yeah, it's been because you put a kind of a list together of things. This is what we're looking for, but every January, every single person on our team reevaluates what their roles are, because interests change over time.
Yeah.
One of my favorite questions is, during the interview process, I don't do too many interviews anymore, but one of my favorite is, what are you going to do after you leave this position?
That's a good one. I don't think I've ever heard that one before.
Yeah, it's a good one. And I can't give credit because I can't remember where I've heard that from, but I ask it every single time now. And you get wait, what? No, I want to work here. I like,
it's like, I'm going to die here. I don't want to leave.
Right. What I found about this was really cool was they'll tell you exactly what they're really passionate about. And one of two things will happen. You can be the catalyst to help them achieve their dreams, or you can create a role around where they're really passionate to keep them on board with you.
Yeah.
I think it's extremely powerful.
Yeah. And I think what you just said, and then going back to the point of, if you have a marketing manager role, marketing manager could stand for different things for 15 different organizations. There might be a general picture of what it looks like, but it could mean bringing value in a different way based on what organization you're going for and what their vision is and what their product line is or what their service offerings are. So that's something also to keep a note of when you are starting through your job search process.
Yeah. And one of the things, I talked with a friend of mine, David Schreiner-Kahn, and he has an amazing podcast called Going Solo, when, people leave their corporate job and they create their own business. It's a really great podcast. But he told me one day, he's like, when I look to find somebody, I only want them to be 75% of what that role is. And I said,
right.
Why do you want more? And he goes, because I'm excited to find out they're 25% of what they're really excited, passionate, and where their real expertise lies. And every time I look at, okay, they can do 75% of these tasks, he can't wait to see what that other 25% comes in. And again, it's all about being creative.
Yeah. And to that point, just like employees need to gain clarity as to where they're going to add value going forward, employers need to gain clarity as well as to what they need. There's not a centralized system in creating a job description, right? So you could have a job description, I could write a job description, somebody else could write a job description, and the format's completely different, what you're asking for and so forth. So employers are gaining clarity. So we got to give credit to the difficulties in creating this job description, because we're doing our best explaining what we think we need as hiring managers. But there could be so much more to the role that you could bring that the person that wrote the job description didn't even realize when they created this.
Yes, that is a huge point. I think it's beneficial for both people to really, and I think in this day and age, because of technology, our global talent pool has drastically increased. The world is a lot smaller now, so there's a lot more opportunity out there. So I'm all for being flexible and figuring out where this is going to go, because I truly believe that being flexible as a business leader, or moving into another organization, being flexible, both sides, you need to have that kind of creative molding that goes on to form these relationships.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
Yeah. So I have another question. Sure. I do know we're getting close to the time here, so I want to respect your time. What we talked about, what are the biggest challenges? What are some of the successes that you've seen because of your participation?
Yeah. So one particular story that just resonates with me is when I started working with a certain individual. They were at an organization. They weren't really sure whether leaving the organization was the best decision or staying there and trying to get promoted. I think they were leaning towards leaving the organization, but through conversation, which is the key here, right? Allowing for vulnerable conversations, through conversations, and then through practical application and exercises, we worked through for almost a year, just one-on-ones, let's call it monthly one-on-ones, where, touch points, right? I spoke with this gentleman a couple of weeks back, and he was so thrilled because he ended up choosing to stay in an organization where he had built his career, and he just needed this small pivot to make all of his uncertainties, in a sense, go away, right? And that sounds not very clear, but without giving too much detail of gentleman, it was just one of those things where he needed to bounce ideas off of somebody who was outside the organization, outside the industry, right? To gain perspective that otherwise he might not have received. And he didn't necessarily want to do this with family members and so forth, because they were looking out for him on more of a personal level. So the exercises that we completed, the conversation that we completed, allowed him to gain clarity and wanted to stay in an organization that he had built a career. And he said it was at that time that he's never been more excited to be where he was in his career. And he's further along in his career. It wasn't like someone 5 years in.
Right.
So that, when I heard that, those kind of stories make me realize what I'm doing matters. And it's the vision I had coming to reality. And that's a beautiful thing for me. And that's why I started this business.
I love it. And see, I think it's important to identify stuff like that. In my corporate career, as I know many people, I've always gone, oh, the grass can be way greener over there.
Right.
A competitor, that I maybe go to, maybe they offered me more money, or, it's something else. I'm like, oh, it's going to be way better. The offices are nicer over there, or something,
Yeah.
And you get there and it's like the same old, same old. So I'm glad you brought that up, because it's nice talking to somebody outside of an organization or something like that, because it gives you an opportunity to have confidence in that person, to confide in them.
Right.
And that's something I never really had. And I can see now by what you just said, looking back, I might have been able to make a minor adjustment or a tweak here and there, and been completely happy at one organization. So, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, speaking to that point, that is part of why I created Mindful Career Paths. And organizations that I was in the past in corporate America, I saw a lot of really great talent feel the pressure to leave organizations, their own pressure, but feel the pressure to leave organizations because for one reason or another, they didn't feel like they had an outlet to have a conversation, whether or not they didn't feel comfortable bringing up certain points to their manager or colleagues, or maybe they did bring that stuff up and it really wasn't received in a way that changes were made. So then I saw really great talent leave. And I always thought to myself, imagine if you could have somebody who is outside of the organization, outside of the industry, just there to have vulnerable conversations, because maybe they would be able to suggest ideas that you hadn't really thought of, or that might not be the norm in that particular industry or even in that particular company. So again, how I started Mindful Career Path, a lot of it stems from my own personal experiences in corporate America and where I saw room for added value.
And isn't that usually how it works? We find something that is not there that would really, man, I wish that could help. You know what? That's not around. I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, how do people get in touch with you if they want to learn more?
Sure. You can, if you go to mindfulcareerpath.com, everything is there. My social media outlets, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, everything is out there. I'm always happy to connect with people on LinkedIn for the professional setting. And my email address is just my name, Alicia Ramsdell at mindfulcareerpath.com. So please do not hesitate to reach out. If I can add any value into the career that you lead, then I will be a happy person, and I will be doing a job that I set out to do to serve the greater good in bringing career fulfillment.
I love it. Alicia, thank you so much for your time. Quickly before we wrap, do you have any words of wisdom, or is there anything else you'd like to say?
Yeah, so for me, I want job seekers and or employees, if you already have a job, to improve their relationships with their careers and not just their paycheck. So that's the power behind what I do, and please reach out and I'm happy to connect.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, thank you so much for your time today. Do you have a second to hold on so I can just wrap up really quick?
Certainly.
Oh my gosh. Thank you. We'll be right with you. Hold on one second. That was Alicia Ramsdell. And let me go ahead and pop up the screen here. Your biggest success comes from an internal source. What I really took away from this, and what I hope that you hopefully you got a lot of good stuff, but one of the things I took away was every one of us is unique in our own way. We've all had different experiences that have shaped our lives and make who we are, what we are today. To say where we're going to be in 5 or 10 years is yet to be determined, but it will only be because of the experiences that we have over the next 5 to 10 years. So I'm really glad Alicia brought that up. If you want to reach out, please do so. Alicia is the CEO and founder of Mindful Career Path. You can go to mindfulcareerpath.com and find out everything you need to do, or you can send her an email, and that's Alicia Ramsdell, at mindfulcareerpath.com. Big thanks to Alicia today. I hope you got a lot out of this. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. Please, I would love to put you in touch with her. She's absolutely fantastic. She knows what she's talking about, and she's doing something she's uber passionate about, and that's infectious. So if you're really excited or kind of you're ready to either make a career move or figure out what you can do to tweak your current position wherever you're at, or just explore opportunities, might be a really good time to reach out. So highly encourage you to do so. A couple house cleaning things. If you want to learn more about Alicia, you can visit Bottleneck Television. Learn how you can break through the bottleneck in your business today by going to bottleneck.online/BTV. We have hundreds of other videos there as well, so that you can see other like-minded individuals talking about ways to help stop the bottleneck in your business. And if you haven't seen it, my book is out, Quit Repeating Yourself. You can go to quitrepeatingyourself.com to learn more. It's available anywhere you want to get a book. And this is all about how today's leaders are using systems and processes to grow their business the right way. Again, I love that. Do something as if it's the last time you're ever going to do it. If you missed out on our previous episode, I talked with Gio Marcus. We talked about high converting copywriting, and she's a celebrity copywriter. Holy cow, you should see some of the stuff she's done. And we talked about she now helps people become better copywriters. So if you missed that one and you want to find out how copywriting can really help your business, that's a great episode. And then coming soon, Thursday, September 23rd at 2 p.m. and 3 p.m., 2 p.m. Central, 3 p.m. Eastern, Tabitha Sheaver, founder of Plus Delta 314, Mindset for Scaling, is coming to your earbuds then. I've had a couple conversations with Tabitha, and she is such a giver. That's going to be a wonderful episode. So I'm glad you jumped in today. Again, one final reminder so that you can go and learn more about the mindfulcareerpath.com. Alicia Ramsdell is the founder and CEO of Mindful Career Path. Go check it out today. Thanks again for tuning in. One more thing I want to say, don't forget, create your own ripple. We'll talk to you soon.